Hey there! Welcome back to Chats of the Twisted. My name is Celinda, and this is my friend Simon.
Hello, Simon.
Tonight, we will be telling scary stories based on true events. Let's get started. On a cold early morning in January, David packs his bags in excitement as he prepares for his weekend hunt at a hunting spot that he had leased out for the year. The place was located a few miles off of the main road in a small rural community. It included a small cabin where David planned to sleep. Upon arrival, he enters the cabin. The cabin was old but clean, and there was electricity and running water. There were no walls to separate the rooms, just like a studio apartment, except, of course, it stood in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by thick brush. He unloaded his things and then drove around the 120-acre piece of land in search for the perfect place to set up for his hunt. David locates the perfect spot with the deer blind that oversees a clearing. At around noon, he drives back to the cabin and decides to take a nap before he heads out to start his late afternoon hunt. As he pulls up to the cabin, a heavy mist begins to fall, and the temperature drastically drops. He snuggles into the squeaky old bed and he begins to doze off. He almost instantly hears the sound of horses running. They begin to get closer and closer, louder and louder. And as they got closer, he could now hear the sound of a whip and a man whistling. He sits up and looks out the window that was by his bed and sees a beautiful black stagecoach arriving. The stagecoach driver was wearing a long black duster, a black hat with tall black boots. He looked fancy. He gets off and opens the stagecoach door and helps a woman get off. The woman wore a black, long, elegant dress with lace and a black veil that covered all of her face. She looked as if she were mourning the death of someone. It was as if he was watching a movie from the 1800s. At first, David thought that maybe they were having some sort of fancy funeral, but the property owner would have surely told him that this was going to happen. Confused, he heads towards the door to greet them. But when he opens the door, they have completely vanished. In total shock, he walks towards the area where the stagecoach had stopped to see if there were any footprints or tracks in the dirt, or just to see if there was anything to prove that what he just saw was real, but found absolutely nothing. The hair on his body began to rise. He was terrified. He quickly packed his bags and left. He never went back. What's the matter? Are you scared?
Oh, you are such a wuss.
If you thought that was creepy, this next one will give you the heebie-jeebies. Late one night, Adam was driving down a lonely back road. He had driven down this road many times before, but never at this time at night. It was dark and eerie. It was so dark that if it wasn't for the headlights, you wouldn't even be able to see your hand in front of your face. everything seemed so quiet and still. After driving several miles, he comes upon a sharp curve. As his headlights lead him around the sharp curve, he sees a man waving his arms as if he were in distress. Adam was fearful, but pulls over anyway. Adam rolls down his window, and as the guy gets closer, Adam could see that he was a young man in his mid-20s. As he reaches the window, he says, "Thank you so much for stopping. I've been out here for hours. You're the first person to drive by. I took the curve way too fast and my car went through the fence and it stuck way back in there between some trees." "Are you okay?" asks Adam. "Yes, I'm okay. I just need a ride home. It's just ahead a few miles. Get in. I'm headed in that direction anyway," says Adam. The young man gets in, and Adam could see that he had blood flowing down the side of his face. The guy just sat there looking forward, not saying anything, until he finally says, "Pull over here at this gate. My house is not far from here. I'll just walk the rest of the way." He gets off and thanks Adam. As Adam begins to leave, he sees the young man walk toward the gate and then just walks through it. He didn't even open it. He just walks through. Adam grew numb with fear and chills grew up his spine as he sat there unable to move for a few seconds. He finally drives off, never looking back and never returning to that road again. Adam later was told that a young man was killed in a car crash down that road at the same curve that Adam had picked up the young man, and that he lived not far from the site of the crash. That one gave me the chills. Hey, where'd you go? What are you doing?
Are you scared?
Oh my goodness. This next one will totally give you nightmares. This next story actually happened to my grandpa. My mother told me this story. And this story took place back in 1930. Here we go. On a small and isolated dairy farm lived a man named Ambrosio. He was grieving the recent loss of his wife, Josie. He became very depressed after her death. He was so broken-hearted and couldn't stop thinking of her. He would uncontrollably cry for hours, wishing she had never gone. He missed her so very much. He often dreamt of her, and sometimes even believed that he would hear her call out his name. He was up at 4 a.m. every morning to bring in the cows from the grazing field to get them ready for milking, with only a lantern to guide him to the field in complete darkness. One morning, as he was rounding them up, he heard Ambrosio coming from the wooded area that surrounded the field. He quickly turned, but saw nothing. His hair stood on end because he heard the voice so clearly. He headed back as fast as he could. The next morning, as he walked towards the field, he could feel someone following him, and he heard the voice calling his name out again. Ambrosio. But this time, it was behind him. Terrified, he turns back and sees a woman dressed in white with long black hair. Her face was pale and blurry. She then evaporates into a mist and disappears. He just stood there frozen with fear and his heart pounding loudly, and then he realizes that he had just seen his dead wife. He runs back home and begins to pray. He starts to wonder if maybe she was not resting in peace because he could not let her go. The next morning, he heads back to the field, and again, he feels her presence behind him. This time, he does not look and just says, "I'm okay, my love. Go. Rest in peace. I will always love you and miss you. Farewell until we meet again." Ambrosio never saw or heard her again. It's scary. It's okay. Ugh.
Come on, grow a pair.
I hope you enjoyed the stories. I sure do enjoy telling them. Thank you so much for watching. It means a whole lot. And please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can know when we upload new videos. It will help our channel grow. Thanks again. Until next time. Bye.